is Chris. I study economics and management at St. Edmund Hall. I'm going into my third year. And I'm of Jamaican heritage. I was actually born here. My parents were born here too. It was my grandparents' generation that moved. I was born in East London, in Leytonstone. I moved to Dartford in Kent when I was very young. In Dartford, I went to a local primary school, was fortunate enough to get into a grammar school, where I stayed for secondary school and sixth form, and then ended up at Oxford. In terms of what my parents and sort of family kind of thought about the Oxford situation, my family didn't really say much about Oxford from like an ethnic minority perspective or the racial issues that I'd potentially be facing. They were more just excited and proud of the achievement that I managed to maintain. And in terms of like their reservations, they were more worried about like the financial situation, because we're not particularly well off. So for me, navigating the financial situation at Oxford was more of a concern for my family than any racially motivated issues. I did have a few social concerns. I can get pretty bad social anxiety at times, so as many people sort of feel, I was worried about just making friends generally. I wasn't really that worried about fitting in from a black perspective in Oxford because I've experienced being in predominantly white spaces before and I'm kind of used to that. I was a little bit worried about fitting in with other black people though, because me being British born, I can't really relate that strongly to my Caribbean culture. I don't relate to African culture. So there have been times in sixth form and secondary school where, I've been called like not black enough or, an Oreo and like these kind of things. So I was worried that may, potentially continue at university. It never did. That sort of worry was dispelled almost immediately being part of the ACS or the African and Caribbean Society at Oxford. I always felt included, I felt comfortable, and I never really had to worry about that anymore. I know that's not everyone's experience, but that was mine personally. In terms of what I thought Oxford was going to be like, I did think it was going to be pretty intense, just workload-wise, and the sort of deadlines and stuff like that, as I'd heard. But I was excited to rise to that sort of challenge and be taught by leading experts. I thought Oxford was going to be filled with rich white people, and it is, but I don't mean that as a bad thing. I've met people I never would have met otherwise. I've been able to build connections with people that I can take beyond university, and I'm pretty grateful for that opportunity. And it did, I guess, cross my mind beforehand, just thinking, okay, well, I could be the only black person or one of the few black people in my year, in my college, and whether or not that would be a concern. But I was lucky enough to start Oxford with two of my friends from school. So I, just thought I'll start there. I'll, see who they make friends and sort of build my friendship based off of them. So that was where I kind of started. Included and sort of integrated did I feel? Well, in my college I never really felt left out. There were a lot of activities and things that went on that just weren't my kind of thing. So I did sort of, especially early on, really distance myself quite a lot from college. But that wasn't anybody making me feel left out or anyone sort of excluding me from anything. There were always a couple of people in college who always made a real effort to make me feel included and invite me to things which I really do appreciate. Eventually over time I did start to build up a group of friends in my college who I felt really comfortable around, who I'd sort of do things with outside of college. As I said, sort of mainly most of my friends I made outside of college were through the ACS, and as I said, I never really felt left out in those situations. What would I say to someone who has the same concerns? The reality is, in life, you're very likely to come across people who do make ignorant comments, do things that make you feel a little bit uncomfortable. But that is not to say you won't find your people, you will. And I don't just mean your people in terms of like where you're from or anything like that from an ethnic perspective. I mean your people, the people you just gel with, you will find them. And it could be anyone, and I kind of advise on that front to just be open and be willing to speak to different people, and willing to get to know people you may not necessarily be friends with, or you may not have been friends with in the past. I think being open is really key in that sense. Is Oxford doing enough? The short answer is no. I've had many conversations with the university regarding institutional and individual racism, and conversations I'm having are not new. Years of people before me have been demanding action, been demanding change, and I've seen very little. So, I mean, that's just evidence for you that they need to be doing more. More recently, they have outlined a few things that they're going to be doing, which is positive, but they have, they continue to fail students time and time again. If I had any bad experiences with students, I mean, yeah, a few, microaggressions here and there. I've been called the N-word once, but for me, wasn't particularly surprising. Some of these microaggressions come from a place of ignorance, and when you tell them and educate them, they don't do these things again. I mean, it's to put it into perspective, some of these people, I'm the first black person they've ever met. So there's a lot for them to learn, as there was for me too, about lots of different cultures. But I would just like to use this sort of as an opportunity to say to any prospective students, it's not your responsibility to educate people if you don't want to. Some people choose to, some people don't. There's Google. They don't have to ask you questions about why your hair looks like that, or anything that you don't feel comfortable answering. It's not your responsibility. So in terms of what I would like to see, I guess I'll only be able to come at this from a black perspective, not necessarily including all the other ethnic minority groups, but 4 things just to sort of keep it short. I firstly like to see colleges make racial awareness and racial bias talks compulsory for students to go to. I would like to see colleges celebrate Black History Month. Don't have to do a lot. They could just commemorate some black alumni, or invite a speaker, or have some caterers make some traditional food or something to recognise the month. The third thing that people have been asking for a long time is decolonised curriculums. They make a lot of excuses for this. It would be something I would love to see. And the final thing I'll mention is, again, something that people have been asking for a long time, and hopefully I get to see it before I graduate, is black counsellors. In terms of what else the uni can do, I guess not to sort of repeat from the previous question, some other things that I think would be important, if the university would prioritise the welfare of its students over its appearance in the public eye or the media. There have been a few cases that I won't go into where the university are very quick to clear their name even if they don't understand the situation, and they haven't taken into account how that's going to affect the welfare of its students. I would also like if the staff at Oxford understood that, yes, a lot of what we do at Oxford is based around intellectual discussion and debate. Not everything is an intellectual discussion by itself. There are things we can discuss and there are things we can learn, but some of the issues that people play devil's advocate for fun or just like kind of brush off are people's real life experiences, and it affects them every day, to the point where people's lives are in danger for certain issues, and it's all sometimes considered to just be intellectual discussion. If we talk about it, and debate it, it'll be fine. That's not always the case. I would appreciate if the staff understood that. Summarise my Oxford experience so far as fun, intense and rewarding. Doing your degree, like the workload is a lot, and doing that alongside extracurricular activities and things you're interested in can be very exhausting. For me, being heavily involved in the ACS has been where most of the fun has come from. I've had the opportunity to meet so many amazing people, the opportunity to do so many things that I don't think I would have been able to do anywhere else. So that's something I'm really grateful for. I think I'll just finish with this message that I'd like to give to any prospective ethnic minority students. Be yourself unapologetically at all times. Now that's in the application process, that's when you get in. Your experiences and your upbringing are what make you so special. They make you interesting and they make you an asset that you are. And I just think that's something we should never forget.